Okay, you can hear me?
Yep, all good.
Okay. So firstly, I'm so happy and honored to see so many outstanding scholars to to show up at this workshop. So despite the fact that we have so many great experts, I ventured to talk about the digital platform from China's perspective in the hope that it might provide a useful angle for the audience to understand what digital platform is and where it is going. Now, China's digital economy is somehow special in the sense that it has become a macro phenomenon. If you look at the talking about scalability part, so most of us have witnessed China's rise has become the second largest economy in the world. But what was somewhat underappreciated is that the China's rise of the digital economy. If you look at this China's online consumption, the e-commerce, back in around 2010, China's e-commerce out of the retail sales was about 1%, which is below many countries. But in the past 10 years or so, now China's online consumption accounts for about more than 25% of the retail sales in China. So online consumption has become a macro phenomenon in China. So it's very scalable. Now, by doing so, then we can look. So if we take the marketplace as a classic case of human coordination, we can see that digital technology has broken the traditional boundaries of the markets. So this graph shows that the average distance between a buyer and seller on Alibaba's Taobao.com is around 1,000 kilometers. I think similar numbers can be seen on other platforms. So that's it breaks the traditional boundaries of the coordination, and it also means that it's leading to very broad participation. So on Alibaba's Taobao.com, we have more than hundreds of millions of users and tens of millions of the SMEs serving them. So if you look at on the inclusion side, then you can see that actually on the left panel, you can see that the people from the less wealthy regions, they do not spend less online proportionally than people from the more wealthy regions. And more interestingly, they spend many more varieties on the online consumption, and it's easy to understand because they don't have good supermalls in their local areas, and also their online consumption grow faster. So that is the inclusion dimension. Now, if we look at the participants, as I mentioned, we have more than 10 million active SMEs on Taobao.com. I'm just using the Alibaba as one example, but you can see that half of the entrepreneurs are actually women. I'm not talking about women as employees. I'm talking about their entrepreneurs, and also even in the digital industries, their shares of the market is also increasing. So that's another dimension of inclusion. Now, it's not only quite. It has led to, I think, unprecedented level of participation, and it could lead to inclusion. It can also bring about innovation. I'm just giving you one example. If you look at the sweaters, women's sweaters, now if you define them on the two space of the style and the design elements, you can see thousands of combinations. Now they are online. And if you look at the prices, the online and offline prices, you can see that the online prices, even though they have many more varieties, but actually the price is somehow going down compared to the offline market because there's more competition. Now, I'm talking about some of the, I think China's example is interesting in the sense that you have these two-sided markets. It has led to, together has led to a macro phenomenon. Now, if you look at take a look at the mechanisms of those digital platforms, as you can see that then technology play a key role in those mechanisms to make them work. So one interesting thing, of course, is to make use of the data. So this there's one particular paper by Professor Chen and other his courses. I believe he's also on call now. And so to look at what happens if there's no personal information that is used for the search and matching. So a lot of time we forget about what exactly is the value of data. So what this natural experiment shows is that if actually, if in the search and matching online, if you if you do not use the personal data, then basically it's very hard to know what the consumers wants. So the recommendation will go to the top 1% of the brands. So immediately you can see that the click-through rates will go down dramatically, and actually the purchase will goes down to a whopping 80%. So you can see that without the data to help the buyers to find the sellers, then the efficiency of the market will go down. And that's what AI does, as the Professor Gans was trying to say to make the mechanism work. Other parts of the mechanism includes the contracting technology, I call this. So that includes, for example, everybody needs to have a identity. And also we have the authenticity of the commodities. So on Alibaba's platform, 97% of the fake products will be identified before they can sell a first piece. Now we also have the safety of the payments, etc. So all those things together to make the as if every product and every person has identity, as if they meet each other, hundreds of millions of people, as if they are trading with each other in the same market. Now, also the digital technology is used to create a new system of trust. So this is how all the commodities and all the sellers are rated. And you can see that the better rating companies, they sell better, much better. So that breaks through the traditional problem of the asymmetric information. But the wonderful thing is that this trust of system is created by all the participants, by the users, not by the central planners. Now, other parts of the mechanism, so we on Alibaba's platform, we also provide something called the business advisor. That is meant to help the new sellers to find to read through the information, to try to learn to do the business. As you can see, it provides different type of information, including traffic, competitors, etc., the market trends. As you can see, immediately their sales is going to jump up dramatically after they started to use this information. So that's the power of the business advisor. As you can see that when you have a two-sided market, actually the platform as the operator of the marketplace, it has a lot of incentive to make the players to do better on the market. And the business advice is just one of the tools. So on Alibaba's platform, it has this, it's called the Chen. It has thousands of the third-party applications. Essentially, it helps the new startups to do a lot of the things, from the design, from the marketing, logistic, cash management, a lot of things. The basic tools, I think the whole variant mentioned briefly, now it becomes so easy to get access to new startups, to make the business so much easier. Now, let me give you another example of a new thing that's coming up. It's called the live streaming in China. Now that in the past 3 years or so, it has become a really hot phenomenon, and it's expected to exceed 1 trillion RMB of the volume this year, and it will double in the next year. So that is really going up quickly. But what is this live streaming stuff? Basically, now you have the video tools to help the sellers and the brands to introduce themselves to the consumers. And if the consumers do not trust them or do not like them enough, they introduce the influencers. That together they make the consumption, help the sellers to make the consumption decisions. So this is a really interesting area. I think I recommend the researchers to do because it has a lot of the interesting stuff about how information is digested, how the intention of the consumers can be influenced, and how the trust systems can be made. So that is a very interesting areas coming up. And if you compare the result, you can immediately see why it works. So if only the consumers look at the product information online, they have like 4.7% of the conversion rate. But if they have this live streaming, it jump up to 7.8%. It especially benefits the C2C, the small sellers, because they don't have brands, nor do they have much a trust system to start with. You can see that it helps them to help the consumers to learn to understand them much better, so their sales jump up much more. And this is another graph to see that the smaller sellers benefits much more from the conveying the information and build the trust. So now, I've been trying to give you a sense of the China's this macro phenomenon. It has this unprecedented participation from the users and the sellers. Now, I can also see that when we talk about the digital platforms, they might not be exactly the same in China, as they might not be exactly the same as the United States. For example, if you look at the e-commerce, you can see that there's this healthy divergence of the market share. So Alibaba's market share, it's still growing in a healthy way, but actually the whole market share is getting more diverse. So Alibaba is going down steadily as newcomers is coming up quickly. And so if you compare that with the United States, it's a little bit different. So that's why I'm trying to remind you that there's different contexts. So the digital platforms, including the two-sided platforms, that can mean different things in different environments. And you can see that in the United States, we're familiar with the Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, but you can see that WeChat, TikTok nowadays, they are actually growing much faster. So new innovations indeed are coming up. It's not like the big tech companies can exactly stop them. And if we look at the numbers in the United States, if you look at the who dies there, you can see it's actually the information technology is the most competitive. They die faster than in other industries. This last graph I'm trying to show with you is the labor share. That is the inequality part. So we understand in the United States, and so if you look at what's interesting here is that China's labor share is actually going up, and China's Gini coefficient is going down a little bit. That's contrast to the United States. So again, I'm trying to remind you that there's different contexts and when we talk about the digital technology. Let me stop here. What I'm trying to share with you guys is that is several points. Firstly, digital technology has largely enhanced humans' ability to cooperate. Actually, we can operate a marketplace using the digital technology. And so that it changes our ability to do the coordination. Now, it has broken the traditional boundaries of the coordination. It could lead to unprecedented participants and opportunities. So there's ample evidence of inclusion for both consumers and producers. And the platforms can achieve so by building the infrastructure of the two-sided markets using the digital technology. It is unclear that either digital technology or big data will for sure lead to winner takes all. There exists ample contrary evidence. Let me give you a final example. In China, several years ago, they were talking about BAT. It's the Baidu, Tencent, and Alibaba. They're talking about the big company, but that word, nobody mentioned that anymore because the big data company, Baidu, is lagging behind, really lagging behind. So my point here is that, I guess my final point here is that I do believe that as new regulation policies are needed for the digital platform, but I guess we need to go beyond the traditional difference between the markets, companies. We have to think about the value of the new coordination, the value of the digital platforms that could, especially two-sided platforms that can operate as the operator of the markets that changes our opportunity of the coordination. I stop here. Thank you.